Welcome back everyone. Now I'm going to be defending the iPhone SE 2 in this video, and you might be wondering, who was hating on it? Like, what's the problem? Do you not like it? Whatever. I personally love this phone. I think it's a super important phone. However, I have seen a couple critiques of this phone that I'm going to go ahead and try to kind of, unwrap and kind of defend the iPhone SE 2 on. And a lot of these people are saying, you shouldn't buy the iPhone SE 2 when, other phones are out in the market. And I kind of, I don't agree with that at all. If you're going to have to go the brand new route, the iPhone SE 2 is a tremendous option. It's probably the best priced phone brand new right now, which might seem crazy because we have phones like the iPhone XR that Apple's still selling for $599, but this one is selling for $399. And in the used market, you can go pretty far with $399 or $400. But what I will tell you though is the main takeaway of the iPhone SE 2 is that it's a budget iPhone. It's supposed to be a budget phone. It's not supposed to be, competing with the OnePlus 8s or the iPhone 11s or even the 11 Pros or whatever. It's not supposed to be competing with those phones. It's really in a league of its own. A person wrote this article recently. I don't remember what person was. Maybe it was I don't remember, but they stated that the main demographic that Apple was reaching for the iPhone SE 2 wasn't even iPhone 8 users. It was potentially iPhone 6 users, which makes a lot more sense. There's a ton of people I'm sure who still own that phone and they want to go upgrade to a newer phone without changing that body. So that's actually a really interesting thing that I found. Now the biggest complaints that I've seen, I think I found 4 or 5 of them. The first one being, the design is pretty much the same exact thing as the iPhone 8, so it's pretty much just like an iPhone 8 with a newer whatever. Obviously it is the iPhone 8 body. However, there are some changes to it a little bit. First of all, we have the new color, which is cool. The Apple logo on the back, it's centered instead of being up top. But other than that, yes, it's an iPhone 8 body, but it's really not that big of a deal. That's one thing where you can kind of say that with every single phone that was ever released by Apple. The iPhone 6s is the same thing as the iPhone 6 body. The iPhone XS is the same thing as the iPhone 10. The iPhone 11 Pro is the same thing almost as the XS body, except for that camera. And even if looking back at the original iPhone SE, that was really just pretty much a reincarnated body of the iPhone 5s. So yeah, it's the same thing as the iPhone 8 body, but that's what the whole point of the SE lineup is. They're recycling the design, so they're saving money in that cost. So I think it's perfectly fine that it uses the iPhone 8 body, so I wouldn't necessarily freak out too much about that. If you always have the options of going up to the $599 or $699 models of the iPhone XR and iPhone 11 respectively. So the other thing I saw was the complaint about the single camera. And yeah, I kind of see that. Like, you could say, this thing should have a dual camera setup or whatever. But even at that point, it's really not even that big of a deal. And I'm like the type of person who freaks out about a phone having a single camera in 2020. But there are still some cool advantages you have with a lens like this. First of all, it's a tremendous lens. You can still do 4K at 60, which is really nice, 12 megapixels, which is really cool. But the best thing about it is that you have the ability to shoot portrait mode on that front camera and on that back camera, which is really cool. So you have that type of capability, and portrait mode on the front camera, not a lot of phones have that capability. The iPhone SE 2 has that capability on not only the front camera, but that back camera too. So it really is kind of like the iPhone XR camera ported over onto this phone, but even the iPhone XR didn't have portrait mode on the front camera. So that's a really cool thing that this phone has. And even though we were complaining about the iPhone XR at the time, I think the market showed that, single cameras, they might be a big deal to us. They might be, oh my god, single camera, no ultra, whatever. But to the market, I don't think a lot of people really care about it, to be honest. So single camera, I think, is perfectly fine. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Now, the next complaint, I could kind of see why some people will complain about it, and this would particularly be the battery size. So it has the same exact battery size as the iPhone 8, which was, I think, a 1821 mAh battery. And you know what? If I'm being honest, this might have some merit. Maybe they could have increased the battery size a little bit, but with that A13 chip and all those different things inside of it, I'm sure it'll probably have a better battery life overall than the iPhone 8, which is still a huge plus. And with these phones, they're not like huge, powerfully, 12 gigs of RAM, 8 core phones or anything like that. Even iOS, iOS is a very, very basic software. It still has a ton of features built in, but there's not a lot of background processes. So you're still going to have pretty decent battery life on this phone. My iPhone 8s have pretty much had okay battery life. They're not I would say they're a little bit above average. They're not amazing, but they're not horrible either. And I'm expecting the iPhone SE 2 to have, better battery life than that. So I've already pre-ordered 2 of them this morning, and like I said, I'm going to be giving one away to you guys. So, But the battery size, is one of those things that I wouldn't really freak out too much about in my opinion. So now the last thing is the screen. And this is the one thing where I've seen a lot of people complain about too. Now the PPI, or the pixels per inch, is pretty much the same as on this as it was on the Plus models, as it was I think even now on the iPhone 11. And I think the iPhone 11 has a pretty good screen for the most part for it being an IPS panel, and it's not that bad either. A lot of these things aren't that bad, but you have to remember this is a budget phone. This is not supposed to be replacing the iPhone 12 or iPhone 11 Pro or whatever. So in terms of the screen, I think it's okay for the most part. Again, it's okay. It does have True Tone. The iPhone 8's display isn't even that bad. So if this thing is any better or even the same, then I'm expecting it to be okay as well. And when you're interacting with that screen, since it's pretty small, that 4.7-inch body, the best thing about this is that, it doesn't really require, first of all, that much power to run because it's a smaller display and low resolution. But since it's a smaller display, everything's kind of pushed together, so it looks a little bit sharper. I know it's kind of like an optical illusion, but it just, I don't know, something about it makes it look a little bit better than it really is. And you have that True Tone display on it as well, which is really awesome. So what I can tell you is, without a doubt, I think the iPhone SE 2020 is a tremendous phone. It's amazing for the price that you're going to pay for it. These complaints that people are saying have some merit to it, and I think, you can really say a lot of things about it that might not be the best, but for me personally, I think for these specific issues, and maybe even more, I think a lot of people will overlook them and purchase this phone, even though there are some, oversights with it for sure. So that's pretty much it. I love the iPhone SE 2. Long live that phone forever. Hopefully they make an iPhone SE 3. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, I purchased 2 of them, so I'll be giving one away to you guys once they come in. I'll probably give it away in a couple weeks. So hit that like button if you guys enjoy the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So thank you so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.